Hello everybody, my name is Todd Conchab and I'm here to help you pass your PE exam. I just recently took the exam in May and passed on my first try. And like many of you, I wasn't the best test taker and I had a huge challenge ahead of myself. So the purpose of this video is to give you the tips and tricks I learned along the way, and hopefully you'll pass your first time as well. So let's get right to the point. There's three key ideas that I want to pass along. One is studying. Number two is taking a course. And number three is making a cheat sheet, which I'm going to give you a lot of insight about and was probably the largest reason why I passed my exam. So cheat sheet is number three. So let's start out with number one, studying. It's critical. It took me about 2.5 months to prepare for this exam, and the biggest thing that is difficult to sacrifice is your social life. I'd say for this entire time that you put away your booze, lock it up in a closet, and say goodbye to your friends, because if you really want to pass this exam, it's going to take time. Now, if you're a whiz, you probably shouldn't even be watching this video. But if you're like me and you got to work really hard to do well on tests, then pay close attention and hear what I did. So for the weekends, I put in 16 hours, and keep in mind 2.5 months, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours a day. For the weekdays, I put in 4 to 6 hours. Now, I was working on one of the busiest projects that I've ever been on. It's the largest design build project currently across the country, and I was working 10-hour days with a 1-hour commute. So I was fairly exhausted at the end of my day, but I still made time for at least 1 hour. And don't expect yourself to be 100% engaged in studying, but the fact that you're committing to that time is part of the process. And just constantly reviewing, even if it's an hour, even if you're 60% there and 40% in your bed sleeping, it's important to just make that commitment on the weekdays, even when you're exhausted after work. So 4 to 6 hours Monday through Thursday is what I did. Fridays I took off. Usually just watched a movie, relaxed, unwinded, and Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours each day. So that was my weekly studying. I did it for 2.5 months. I started early February, and the exam was late May. So you guys taking the October exam, I hopefully you're putting in these amount of hours. The big thing, like I said, is you gotta cut all the social commitments, because it's very difficult to go out late at night and get up and study the next morning, and we all know that from college. But this is a little different. If you want to take this exam once and never have to worry about it again, then for 2.5 months, I'd say that it's not that big of a sacrifice to cut off all ties with friends. Next key point is a course. Some people don't want to spend the money. It's expensive. A lot of them are over $1,000 these days, and I totally get that. For me, I came in with the mentality that I wasn't going to take the course and that I could do it on my own. I was motivated, and I'll never forget those first couple weekends where I had the civil engineering reference manual and just started at page 1, and it was completely overwhelming, and it was very difficult to stay focused when you're creating your own study path. The biggest thing that the courses give you is structure, and that's really important in such a tight window where you have to learn so much material. You don't want to waste time studying things that aren't applicable. So I think taking a course is really important. Now, what I did was I took the school of PE, and it was really good. I was happy with my experience, and to save a little bit of money, I went in on it with a friend and we did the online courses. So it was half the price. And the good thing about the online course is that you can watch the videos over again. So if they are going fast, and they usually do go at a fast pace, you can always go back after and make sure that you hit on all the points that they went over in class. Now, a key part of the course I thought for me is that I studied with a friend. So it would add a little competition. You know, when someone was getting a point and you didn't get it, it made you want to get it. Whereas if you're by yourself, you would just feel bad for yourself and get depressed and discouraged, right? So, and if you didn't get something and the other person did, they're more than happy to share it with you, with also putting it a little bit in your face that they got it and you didn't. But that's part of the process, and it helps you motivate each other to get through it together, because it's hard. It's not easy. Saturday, Sunday, St. Patty's Day is going on. I remember going outside for a little break and everyone's having a good time, and I'm in my office studying. So it helps to have someone there with you to get through, those long days, long weekends, So that's my advice for the course. That's number 2. Now, number 3 is something that really helped me focus. I had created a cheat sheet methodology halfway through studying. What was difficult for me was when I was taking the course and they would give practice problems, I was having a very difficult time finding all the information. It was just too much information to process in a testing mode. So what I started doing was going through the course. I started creating cheat sheets for each subject, writing down all the key equations, writing down all the key references, the page numbers related to the equations, where I can, jump through these reference manuals very quickly. Because let me tell you, if you're just going to use the civil engineering reference manual and tab that out, it's still overwhelming. I mean, I had like 40, 50 tabs on my civil engineering reference manual, and it was still very difficult. No matter how many color coding methods you use or whatever, it's still very difficult to get the information quickly. So what I created was about 40 pages here. Each subject tab: transportation, structures, construction, geo, and then I also had a tab for my PM, which I took the transportation. So this video really applies to the AM. I mean, I also use the same concept for the PM, but what it did for me was it simplified each subject into like 4 or 5 pages that I had gotten used to seeing, because flipping through 40 pages, you start recognizing things a little more frequently, whereas in the SERM, what is that, like 1,000 pages? How are you going to memorize any page? They all look the same after a while. And a lot of the SERM is based on theory and concept, and that's not really important for the exam. So this is key principles, little tricks and tips of each equation, roadblocks that hit along the way with certain types of problems. I would write down the note, that little trick that you necessarily wouldn't remember in a pressure environment. I would write that down so you would keep that in mind when you're solving that problem during the exam. So this right here was my savior. So really the ultimate goal of this video, I've passed this along to a couple of my friends who are now taking the exam. I actually gave this to a friend who's failed the exam 3 times, and on his 4th time using this methodology, he passed. So I'm a strong believer in this. It helps narrow so much information and keep you focused in such a pressure situation. And it just makes everything familiar, which 10 textbooks taken into the exam, sometimes it's very easy to feel like you knew that information, but you can't find it or forgot it. So this is what I'm offering with this video that I'm creating today. For $5, I've created a PDF of my cheat sheet, and if you want, I can email it to you. Now, I don't expect you necessarily to use this for your exam, but The material is all relevant for any AM exam, any discipline. And what I would recommend to get the most out of this is to look at how I did it. How did I organize my thoughts so clearly and in such condensed format? You may not understand my handwriting as well, so I would recommend that you create your own cheat sheet with a similar format, and the content's all there. The content's not going to change. So I've organized all the content, and let me be honest with you. For the AM exam, 80% of the questions, I used my cheat sheet. That is the key point right there, the key point. And what it ultimately does is help you save you time, because it is so critical to get through these problems very quickly. So 80% of the time I was using my cheat sheet, I had 45 minutes to spare for the AM. Therefore, I circled 10 questions, 10 or 15 questions that I wasn't 100% sure on, I was a little bit up in the air about. I got to go back and really go in depth with those problems because I spared myself some time. So this is the key to my success of the exam, and the same applies to the PM. You can do the same. I write down each concept, which manual it references. I put a page number, notes and tricks by each subject, and I'll tell you, it's a proud day when you pass that PE exam, and I wanted to share part of my success with you guys, and hopefully you guys can pass it as well. So passthepeexam@gmail.com. Email me. I'll send you the PDF for $5, essentially just a handling fee. I'm not trying to make a profit or anything along those lines. I just want to share my success to give you guys an opportunity to pass the exam because it feels great. So good luck for you guys taking it in October. And if I get some positive feedback, then I'll further develop this cheat sheet concept into something a little more professional. But for now, I just want to know if this feedback helps you guys, because I've seen it help a few close friends of mine, and let's see if it helps you guys as well. So good luck, and my name's Todd Conchab, and wish you the best.